Hello and welcome to the Dance Yourself Brave show, where we get real about the struggles dancers face, from confidence battles to self-doubt, and how dance has the power to make us braver, stronger, and more unstoppable in every area of life. I'm your host, Mariana Santos, founder of Brazily Fitness. And whether you're a seasoned dancer, a dance instructor, dance lover, or someone who's always wanted to dance but feels a little intimidated to start, this show is for you. Expect honest conversations, inspiring stories, and simple ways to bring more dance into your life, whether that's in the studio, on stage, or right in your living room. And if you're a dance instructor, we've got you covered with tips on how to grow your dance business, attract more students, and create a bigger impact through your passion for movement. So if you're ready to step out of your comfort zone, own your movement, and dance yourself brave, let's do this. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dance Yourself Brave show. I'm your host, Mariana Santos, founder of Brazily Fitness, and I'm so excited that I have Melanie Durham here with me today. How are you doing, Melanie?
Hello, I'm good. It's a happy day.
It's a happy day. Well, I'm excited that you're here. We're going to talk about your journey. So I'm just going to go into a little intro. So Melanie Durham is a dance teacher of almost 30 years, an adjudicator for dance competitions for 14 years, a former studio owner, and current dance studio consultant. She's a law enforcement wife and mother of two. Originally from Southern California by the beach, Melanie now resides in northern Utah by the mountains. She has carried many certifications, including acro, tap, and judging. She has been quite busy this dance season with projects for dance studio clients, including curriculum organization and building, student progressions and teacher training, and remote administrative support. Melanie is still very involved in the competition circuit, traveling as a judge and director, all while teaching 2 days a week at the School of Dance SLC and at Ballet West Academy, the official school of Ballet West. Melanie enjoys earning those sky miles, time with her family, discovering new places, and good coffee. Well, I'm with you on the coffee.
I need
Let's
good
get into
coffee.
let's get into everything else. So, tell us all about you. We got a little bit of insight there, but how did you get started with dance? How did it all start for you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's so fun. I'm the oldest of a big family, and obviously being the oldest and a girl, I think my mother primarily said, "Oh my gosh, I would love my daughter danced." So enrolled me into a little ballet tap combo class at the local rec center, and kept me busy. She also, to credit of her observation, noticed that my legs were slightly pigeon-toed, or I would walk like a little bit inverted. So it says, I don't see pictures of it, but. And she was like, maybe this is a good thing. It wasn't anything that was like medically needing to be noticed, but I think it was just like, oh, well, let's do dance. And next thing I knew, first position in ballet class. I mean, credit to the rec teacher, teaching proper plies at age 4, and then having the articulation of tap. I'm not very tall. I'm 5'5", but I did grow quickly. So for example, by the time I got to 8th grade, I was already almost my height now. I mean, it just big foot, long limbs. And I'm like, I guess I'm going to be 5'9", 5'10". I am not. I'm 5'5". But I think also too, being a kid, maybe she saw that at that early age, I was all of a sudden having super long legs, and a child that can grow super quickly, we can be gangly, and maybe they're going to be super tall. So when I started age 4, it was in a ballet tap combo class at the local rec center in Huntington Beach, California. So my earliest memories were going to preschool. I think it was down the street or even at the same rec center. I can see it, but I don't know geographics at age 4. But I remember then going to dance class and having a good time. And also I have a very clear memory of trying to do my splits, and I couldn't do it. And I was getting frustrated. And this is by the time I was age 5. And I remember saying, okay, I can't do the splits. I have to go to the bathroom. My teacher's like, do your splits first. And I have a vivid memory of I had a puddle underneath me trying to do my splits, mortified. But I also grew quite brave early on that I wasn't like, and I'm done. I was like, okay, well, just change and try it again. And now I can only picture a 4 and 5-year-old. Absolutely not. Leave me alone. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I remember these certain moments in early training that really built me and had the positive reinforcement from those teachers. I couldn't tell you what they look like or their names, but they just had a poignant start to my dance like career, and they didn't realize it was gonna be a career, neither did I. But I really fell in love with tap and really fell in love with making noise and having organization with the body. But I don't have any hip issues. I don't have any problems. I also love dance. So it started at age 4 and I never looked back. Like I never veered. I tried gymnastics 1 year. I think it was like 8 or 9 was a Olympic year. And I was like, absolutely not. I don't like this. I stuck
Take
with
me
dance.
back to dance.
Yeah, so vivid memories of preschool, kindergarten, dance class, the beach. There's a lot of grass area right before you get down to the beach. We would just do times go to the beach doesn't necessarily mean you're in the sand and the water. Growing up, my first few years into dance had a really good start.
So I know you mentioned a little bit about your struggles with getting the splits down, right? But how about other struggles? Were there other struggles that you faced along the way, like in your dance journey?
Yeah, it was interesting because, like I mentioned, I'm the oldest of a big family, and my parents had the first few children quite close together. And so, for example, there's only 14 months between me and my brother, and we're pretty much like twins, and we're dramatically different personalities. And then between me and a sister, there's 3 years. So all of a sudden, it became a dynamic of me being a big sister, and then I grew into being a little mom, which is a whole nother podcast, and therapy has been done for that. But what I was noticing with dance, it was this thing that I like to do, and I found it a part of my personality, and I found it a part of me when I think at a young age, already having some responsibility that it's neither here nor there that was supposed to happen, but I learned to be independent quite quickly. I had to get my dance bag ready. I had to have my dance shoes. I had to make sure I had my water because, in true honesty, if I didn't make sure that was happening, like, was it going to happen? And so, not a fight or flight, but making sure that I knew responsibility. Do you have your dance bag? Yes, I do. If I didn't, it was my fault. And again, neither here nor there, but learning how to be stand up for yourself and go, I just speaking up from a young age and how I was being raised and brought up with responsibility at home. And it created a very studious student who also liked to have fun at school. But I found it as my sanctuary, and I found dance to be the thing that I could be myself. I could be brave, but within that meant I didn't have to have responsibilities I had at home, and I could be more of my playful self and finding the love I had for music. And later I would go into doing a lot of choir. So I really, really love music, and finding that that was an outlet physically, right, for my body to feel, whether it was doing a chasse or a chaîné turn or a leap or just feeling the music. It was a way to grow within that for me, starting at such a young age. And I had no idea it was going to be a trajectory for my life.
Yeah, and we never do, right? Sometimes, like, the most challenging things that we go through are preparing us for something, right? And we don't understand it in the moment, and sometimes we get frustrated and we complain, right? But there's
Hmm.
usually something that down the road we're like, aha, like that's why I was going through that. So, speaking about that, like, how do you think going through all of this, all these responsibilities at a young age, like, how has that shaped you as a person today, and how does that affect your life?
A lot. I mean, there's, like I mentioned, like therapy has been done being the oldest. So, full disclosure, I'm the oldest of 9 children. And so, for me, it actually changed the trajectory of how I thought motherhood should be and could be. And it actually, I'll say the word, ruined what that could be for me. I didn't quite want to embrace the idea of motherhood because what I saw as my example within my home was not what I said this for the birds. This is nuts. But I also became a mother to my 3 youngest siblings, and for me, that also changed how my relationship would be with kids. So, for example, I started assisting at age 14. I was like 13 and a half, 14 in dance classes, but credit to my dance teacher who was like, she knows how to hone in and wrangle children. A, golden, I need her. B, she can tie a shoe in 5 seconds, to get that kid. C, I can help get that kid to the bathroom and back, assist with tights and not think anything of it because I've been changing diapers since I was 8. Like, maybe there was a way of honing in on those positive things without being detrimental, right? So where maybe I felt weighed down, it was giving me a boost and giving me not a pedestal, but something to feel like, oh, I'm good at this, right? I can do this. But also to that credit, I started teaching dance classes by myself, like my own class at age 15. So, you could do a shuffle step, you could do plies, you could do jazz walks, you can do, your kicks and batmas. I was also really into wanting to learn more about it. So it changed how I thought I would take into my life. I liked the idea of teaching these kids and then sending them home. And I was like, that's the perfect scenario. I don't have to be a mom, but I could be a mother figure and feel like I'm filling that, I don't know, that basket and loving these 3-year-olds trying to say Miss Melanie and they can't say it and it comes out Miss Melanie and I love it and it's so cute. And then also like I didn't have to worry about teaching the teenagers because I was a teenager myself. And I carried myself with more maturity, but also I was very much, because I would speak up and say I wasn't very bashful. I wasn't like, oh, if that's what you want, because I knew kids could run over you. Like I learned later on realizing that I really wanted to go into nursing school and be a nurse and the medical field. I love just all the advances and how we could take care of people and that goes deeper, but it changed the trajectory of me wanting to go into medicine. Instead, I fell in love with dance education. And not as a dancer on stage, not like I need to perform. I actually was like, no, let me help mold you, help inspire you, see how you've grown over these months. And then on stage, and that, like still to this day warms my heart. Like I will be on the sidelines and I will tear up. I mean, I have 2 children myself and I'm tearing because I'm their mom, but like
Yeah.
it's just so that satisfaction. And I'm not going to lie. If they also say, thank you so much for teaching me, here's a Starbucks card, I'm going to accept every single time. But I think that how that molds a person at a young age, even changing what they think they're going to go into college with. And at the end of the day, I'm still taking care of people. I
Mhm.
find myself, even as a former studio owner, I was taking care of a lot of parents, not helping them parent, but literally you are part of the village of their parenting, right? This goes deep. It goes really deep. So
Yes.
I think just how that changed how I also looked at, well, what do I want for my life? And I met my husband and was like, if you want children, I'll have children with you, but we need to talk about a few things. And he's like,
Yeah.
okay. Neither one of us wanted a really big family, and we were happy with where we were coming into that relationship and that partnership. And that was very, very, very important to me because of my upbringing. And it's been a really great balance. And he is the yin to my yang, and we are truly a team in parenthood. And it just, I couldn't have asked for a better partner. And he married this crazy dance person. Like, I tell him every day, I'm like, I don't even know how you deal with me. He's like, I love you. So that's it in a
Pretty
nutshell.
straightforward.
But yeah, but I think also too, just if I can say real quick, if there's dancers out there that it's a different time in now for 14, 15, 16-year-olds. And I understand that. Sometimes you don't know what you want to do. You're not like, oh, I want to go into med, like you have no idea. And that's still okay. Just find what makes you happy, find what brings you joy and what isn't a joy sucker, and hang on to the thing that brings you joy, because it might actually help your trajectory into going what is your true calling that you don't even know yet.
Yeah. And I mean, you're proof of that, right? Like you
Mhm.
said that you had to, learn to be a mother and like a parent at a very young age. And, you probably weren't, thrilled about that, right? At the time. And, there was
Not in the
resentment
least.
and anger, right? But it's also led you to find your calling, right? So it's
Mhm.
beautiful. And I think that, yeah, life is so interesting, right? Like it's full of ups and downs, and we just really don't understand it. But we just have to kind of believe that things are falling into place when they're supposed to. And, but yeah, like I think it's very tough to be a teenager in the world we live in right now.
Yes.
So, like you said, like you wanted to be a nurse and you wanted to help people. And I think that sometimes as, people who work with dance, we think like, oh, okay, it's just dance, right? But really, we're helping people at such a like deep level, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes we have a hard time acknowledging that for ourselves and like all the work we put in, all the love, all the care, and how that impacts people's lives, right? And yeah, we're helping people at a deep level too, and we deserve to be recognized for that and feel fulfilled doing what we're meant to do. And because we're like through dance, like people who come to your classes, even if they don't want a career in dance, right? They're learning about
Right.
resilience, to discipline. And these are things that they're going to take with them for the rest of their lives. And especially now with the
Mhm.
world being so like crazy, right? Like they need that support system. They need to have like a safe space where they can, like you said like when you would go to your classes, like that was a place where you could just be you, right? And just feel joy. And that's what you offer with your classes, right? So
Well,
I
and you
think
have to
it's important
feel
work.
like you belong, but
Yep.
you also are accepted. There's
Yep.
one thing about you belong here, but being accepted, but being yourself. And where we are right now, I mean, my son, I have two children. My son is almost 13. So that's seventh grade is rough. You know, you're already awkward trying to figure out what this thing is, let alone your mom's reminding you to wear deodorant every day.
Mhm.
And now you're trying to figure out, like, who am I? Right. And do I have a style, let alone the peer pressures? My daughter is 6. So first grade is like rainbows and unicorns to her every single day. So you have this whole dynamic of teenagehood that wasn't anything like we had. And also too, like I didn't know I loved the idea of assisting and I loved the idea of teaching. And then going into college, you know, I knew I wanted to go straight to university, but what did I want to go to university for? And it wasn't until my senior year of high school that my dad said, hey, you know, you're paying for college yourself. I mean, it was like, wait, what? Like, again, the conversation hadn't happened. There's a lot of children, there's a lot of chaos going on. And I'm like, okay, well, good thing I was a studious student and doing what brought me passion, but I love English. I love history. Math is not my forte, but I got through it.
Same
And
here.
yeah, it's just like, "Ugh, okay, well, then I'm going to go apply and do what I need to do and then have my plan B and C. But I applied to University of California and it's because I was so studious and making sure I was so independent. Again, you know, I've gone to therapy for a lot of things to find out for myself when you're early 20s of how life has trajectory. And you're like, I thought doing this dance thing and this, and there's so many weights and heaviness to it. The reason I bring it up is because I was still focused on doing dance, whether I was teaching and or taking classes, and then the competitions and all those things. I was still a studious student for myself. It
Mhm.
wasn't, I was doing it for having good grades, but I wasn't going to like really be detrimentally like so sad if I didn't get a 4.0 GPA. Like I was not that kid. I was like, I'll take an honors class, but let me just take what I need to take. I don't need to take these college prep classes. I always looked at my friends who's doing that. I was like, why are you doing that? You're not even in college. Well, it's going to look good. I'm like, who cares? Because they care about what they look like. For me,
Yeah.
I said, when I'm in college, I'll worry about it. But
Mhm.
I was very studious about what I liked. And that entrance essay got me right into university. It got me 2 grants. It got me the ability to go into university right away and not have to have a wait period as well. And I credit that for me also finding other things I like. So even though I love dance and I love this, I had a passion for English composition and how things are laid out. And I loved reading about, I'm not a fiction girl, I'm a nonfiction girl. And so like, I loved reading about people's lives and how it interjects into history. And anyways, I think also too, that served me well going into college. So I would leave, I would go to all my dance classes and be this dance major and then be an English comp minor and then also be done with all my courses before 1, pushing it 2 o'clock, right to the studio and teach for the night. Like how I did it, that's, there's a reason I didn't discover coffee until college. And when I did, anyways, I remember going up to the little kiosk and I said, I think I just don't know what to order. And this girl looked at me, she's like, you know, I was like, I have no idea what would be good. And my very first coffee was a mocha latte. She had me, she's like, you'll have a little chocolate flavor. I was like, sign me up. And I was like, what is this magical stuff that no one's told me about?
That is my favorite to
Oh,
order.
it's so
Yep.
good. And I was going, okay, you can do it with support of a hot cup of coffee that also felt like a warm hug and the support of people in your lives. I was also, you know, kind of just thrown into studio ownership and I had a choice. I could have said no. I could have said, nope, I'm just going to live my life and do this. And it served me well. But because I was studious, because I was very focused on my independency of what I could do, again, speaking up of how I like how to speak up for myself and my upbringing. Some might call me stubborn, but I call it determined.
Yes.
And it served me well. And I will always be the voice that speaks up for those who can't speak for themselves. And sometimes that can be a weird observation from people, but it's been fine. And you know what? I'm grateful for it. And it's helping my children to learn to stand up for themselves and standing in their bravery of what they're going through in school. And yeah, I don't know. It's a whole, I can go off on a whole tangent on that,
Yes.
but like, it's hard because we try to be those examples as dance teachers and dance people, right, in this industry. And people forget we're also mentors. How you walk into that studio, how you walk into that room, that energy, how you say greet people. I'll walk in, I'll say hi. And if one student says hi, I go, let's try that again. I'll walk out and walk back in because I'm also teaching them lifelong skills.
Mhm.
Someone says hi, you reply hello back. Or, you know, or the nodding the head or yeah, I'm like, oh, it's a yes. My students are like, she is so strict. I'm like, I'm teaching you how to speak correctly.
Yeah.
I am teaching you how to reply when someone talks to you because that's going to be important in a job interview. And like, you're not prepared. You may go out and go grab your shoes and your water. You forgot that. You know, it's important.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, all of that is so important and they need it, right? And sometimes like they need it from someone who's not a parent, right? So having that,
Yes.
like because we just don't listen to our parents, right, at that age. So it's good to have like another kind of like you said, like another village, right? Even though you're
Hmm.
not like parenting them, you are also helping their growth and, them coming into themselves and building that maturity, that sense of responsibility, right?
Hmm.
So it's super important work. And what is
Well,
something
and
that
I was gonna say I've had that experience recently, even just saying, "Hey, I'm asking you to have your hair up and be ready. Some of you think this is like an option. It's part of dress code. I am standing ready. Now you're wasting your minutes. Let's go." And
Mhm.
they don't dare roll their eyes at me, but they look and they're like, "Okay." But guess what? 2 weeks in, they're ready. Like they're prepared. They've learned. Even just this last week, I had a student come up to me and say, "I'm sorry, I left my shoes in my dad's car and my mom brought me, but I realized when I got here, I'm like, that's taking responsibility and ownership. Thank you.
Yeah,
Like, no problem.
yeah.
Rather than just strolling in and not saying anything.
Yeah,
So scary.
exactly. Taking ownership, right? And accepting that, actions and like decisions, they come with consequences, right? And I think that what's happening a lot with these younger generations is that they feel like they have all these rights, but they have no like duties, right? Like it's, yeah.
Yes, that's a really great way to put it.
Yeah. So, all right. So, what is something that you wish your students knew about you? Maybe something they don't.
Well, I'll do a fun fact. I was on the show The Price is Right,
I
and
love that show.
don't really like post about it much. I should probably bring it up from the archives and be like, hey, remember that one time I was a newlywed? It was within the first, oh gosh, probably 6 months we were married. And I went with a good friend, my sister in law, my husband's little sister, and his cousin. And they made us all shirts. And I don't even know how I got ticket. I know people in the industry. And so I think I might have just done a raffle ticket thing. I was like, hey guys, who wants to go? I have 4 tickets. It's the middle of the week. And
Mhm.
you could go and you're not teaching. So you're like, yeah, I can go. And we went and they do the little interview. But anyways, I was on Price is Right and my husband couldn't go. He was at work. So he was like, oh, it's fine. And I was like, oh, it's no big deal. And if I'm more the extrovert, he's more introvert. So it's not like he's like, dang it, I really want to. He's like, oh, let me know how it goes. And I got called up and I did the bid and I got up and I played the game and I was so hard on myself and the producers were so great. They were like, no, any other day would have been great. And like it just happens. But it was a good experience because I've done quite a few things in the industry in the background, but being actually a contestant and then you're being spoken to, like, I don't know, it was just really fun. And it wasn't for nothing. I went all the way to the showcase showdown and had to do a final bid and I was just short. And I was like, ah, but I still walked away and I had a $1,500 winning in total. So
Okay.
they take it from your bids and stuff. If I had won the game, it would have been much more, but we won't talk about that because it's still a
Yeah.
sore spot.
Okay.
I'm just going to say it's really hard to guess grocery prices when you are a newlywed who is using coupons to make your dollar go because you are learning
Mhm.
life. Okay. And
Yep.
so
That's fair.
my goodness. And so anyways, that $1,500 has served us well because that paid for a washer and dryer and a refrigerator because
See,
we were
there you
moving into a
go.
new apartment and we still have that same washer and dryer, knock on wood. It's still going strong.
Wow.
And that fridge is our garage fridge. And so anyways, it's kind of fun. I still use it and look at it. I'm like, gosh, we were
Yeah.
really adulting. We were going
Yes.
shopping. But yeah, that's a fun fact about me and learning really hard about like winning and losing, but it wasn't losing because it was still a winner.
Yeah, you
I think
still
another
won.
thing would be I really do like the beach, but I don't like to soak up sun.
Okay.
Like, I like being with my umbrella, a little breeze, some water or some Gatorade. I like to put my toes in. I will go in up to my waist, but then I'll come back to the shade. And so I've never been a sunbather. A lot of my friends, like, growing up in Southern California, put the oils on I
Mhm.
was never like that. And I am so happy because my skin is good compared to some.
Yeah,
So it's never, yeah, I never
it's
just
really a
baked.
thing, like, you have to
It's
be
really a
careful.
thing. Yeah. And maybe again, just because I was a little bit more studious, I was like, I don't know if that's very smart. I did like to get a suntan, but not lay out like that. So that might be something fun. I'm not a hiker. We live near beautiful mountains and I'm like, they're pretty. We'll drive up. We'll drive up and go for scenery drives. We'll go eat at a resort or something. But I grew up near the water. So I did a lot of kneeboarding, wakeboarding, not necessarily skiing because I was a dancer and you are told not to do certain things to hurt yourself. So I didn't want to water ski, kneeboard, or wakeboarding. Not a lot, but as a recreational thing. Whereas some of my neighbors would do, that's like their thing. We live near a
Yeah.
beach, but I don't ski. So
Mm,
here we are
no.
at the mountains and I don't, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And
Yeah, I don't do winter in general, like, winter sports.
well, and I remember driving up in college with like a girlfriend, and we would stay at my grandparents' house because my grandparents lived here all my life. So I'm familiar with the area
Mhm.
and saw it grow over the years. And we would come up, I'm like, oh, just stay at my grandparents' house. We'll go snowboarding. And so we would just rent our stuff and go snowboarding. But like, I'm not a snowboarder, I'm not a skier. And I told my husband once, I was like, we should probably take our kids to do lessons once in a while, just because as they're getting older, if they're invited to do something with friends or we go up, I
Mhm.
mean, we'll all be on the bunny slopes with them, but at
Yes,
least they have an idea. If they like it, then we know they can find a sport or a love for it or not. I don't know. It's pretty expensive. So maybe you don't.
that's true. You
But
gotta really love it to commit that much time and, like,
yeah,
money into it, right?
people travel from all over just to come here to ski because we have the best snow to like that powder to
Yeah.
Park City. I think one more thing would be, I don't know. I might seem like I'm a real big people person. I am, but I
Yeah.
do like my quiet times and my alone times. It may look like I'm the life of the party. I'm always on social media. And at one point I was doing, but I'm kind of liking my quiet times. And I find myself on the plane now opening the book rather than scrolling or watching a movie. And when my kids go to school, I'm liking the quiet or I'll blast up Lady Gaga's new album and clean. Like, I don't know. I do like more of my alone time because I also am still staying on top of what's going on with dance education. I'm at my desk right now, my files of all of my clients and what projects I'm working on for them. And so maybe I've just come back to a little bit more studious time. So,
Yeah, you know what's interesting is that someone told me before, I don't know, like I didn't really look into this, but apparently what determines if you're an extrovert or an introvert is how you recharge your batteries. So I've always thought that I was, like when I started teaching, I used to be very shy, very introverted, and then I started teaching. So I've been teaching for 20 years. So people think I'm like you said, like the life of the party, right? But I
right.
noticed that the way I recharge my batteries is when I'm by myself watching TV, like just like no
Hmm.
one around, right? And then apparently that classifies me as an introvert. So it's very interesting, right?
Well, and change, like we get over 40, we change
Yeah.
the ways we're doing things. Even 2 days ago, I had mentioned to you the weather was so nice a couple days ago. And I was like, I am not going to sit here at my desk. I'm going to go out on my porch. And I opened my laptop. I was finishing a project and doing some emails. And it was gorgeous outside. And I didn't even need music. I just heard the hush and the hum of whatever was happening outside. I was grateful no neighbor decided to randomly mow a lawn because that would have ruined it. But it was so nice to be outside for an hour and a half and just in the breeze and outside and the quiet and alone. I didn't feel like I needed anybody uh, to keep me entertained or anything. And so I felt more refreshed, even though I was getting work done, to then be with my kids when I picked up my kids from school. I was like, hey, I mean, they don't know. That's how mom was able to get a refresh while getting some work done. So yeah, it's really interesting too. I'm
It is.
43 now and I do like to people, but then sometimes it's too much peopling.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I
then I'm
know the
like,
feeling.
everybody leave me alone. I just want my sweatpants and sit on my couch. Or, someone's like, what show are you into? I was like, what's TV? I don't even have to do that. Anyway, so sometimes it makes it really exciting to go, I can just have a cup of coffee and not do, not do anything. So
Yeah, that's my like dream when I have like nothing scheduled, nothing planned. It happens so rarely that when it does happen, it's like,
well, and I also find happiness. It could, I guess you can qualify it as a recharge too, when I'm just observing my students going across the floor. And I know that sounds weird because I'm at like work, I'm at a job, but like, so for example, I teach ballet at Ballet West Academy. And so if I give them a combo, we don't have to demonstrate everything anymore. And I'll tell them, I'm like, guys, if I'm going to do this once, I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to show you, like, now it's your turn. Show me, and I'll squat down, I'll get behind them. I really find solace, happiness, and joy, right? I talk about joy suckers, joy filling. Whoops, a joy filler. Seeing the light bulbs still flicker in their heads, seeing that foot get to that coupe position, right? If I'm like, I need you to cut that in. Some of you are flying with your arms. I need you. And they're not just taking the critique. They're actually doing it's an aha. It fills me with joy. It makes me happy. And I'm like, yes. Or if it's like, oh, you guys are so close, it makes me so happy because I'm like, oh, you're getting it. It's that building. You could hear the wheels turning in their head. That's probably why I fell in love so much with dance education versus dance performance or production. I love a production atmosphere and doing events, that kind of stuff. And I'm really good at all the wheels turning. But I also feel like it gives me a happiness in a different way than, say, on my porch, right, with a hot cup of coffee. Even the 6-year-olds going across the floor and they're doing their kicks, they're doing their batmas, or that 2 weeks ago, I could tell you a little mini success story real fast.
Yeah, actually, that was my next question. So
Perfect, perfect. So my daughter is 6 and she's a young 6, meaning most first graders are already 7.5 years old. So she has an August birthday and she's academically already ready. So for example, she's first grade right now, but she reads at a second grade level. And so I'm like, oh, I'm recognizing quite a few things in my child. Like, okay, how do I motherhood well? Help me. It's just like, okay. But I use her as an example because when you're in a class of like 5 to 6-year-olds or 6, 7, 8-year-olds, everybody's in a different realm of where they're learning. But it's really odd. You can't put a first grader with a fourth grader in a class. So I have this one class. By the way, I've taught my daughter dance up until this season, and it's been so nice to see her grow in the village. We've expanded our village, right? Of these 2 teachers. She has a ballet teacher and a jazz teacher, and it's not mommy. She would call me teacher mommy. I was teacher mommy. And then she really wanted me. She'd be like, mommy. I'm like, okay, my assistant can hold you. You have to share mommy. Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. But it's been so nice just to have dance mom hat this year. Okay. So 2 weeks ago, I have this little class. They're around the same age as my daughter. So most of them are 6 and 7. One is a very just newly 6. In fact, I almost was like, I don't know, right? She's just petite. She's smart, but the mechanics, the skills, like a skip is one of the fundamentals of dance. I will argue with anybody on that. Fundamentals. Weight change, transition, hit a passe. Oh my gosh, all the things, let alone point your whole foot. Now, what are your arms doing? Are they on your hips? Are they alternating? Are you keeping them here? I mean, it's one of the first things that you get down in ballet. We have to do it in jazz. And then Miss Melanie comes in like, okay, today it skips backwards. And they're like,
yeah.
stop. I can't. This sweet little one, she's the youngest, just 2 weeks ago. Now, mind you, she's been doing class since, I'd say it's about end of October, beginning of November. And she just turned 6. So I still think of her as, 5. She just got her skips. And we're not talking like skips, like, okay, you're hop, step, hopping. She literally is like, and passe, step, passe, and hop. And we've done our walks and got the fundamentals, but it is the mechanics of that. It wasn't there yet for her. And when she was doing it, she's so sweet. She was going across the floor with another dancer. That dancer was a little quicker. So she was a little slower, right? She's petite. And we all just looked and I was like, you're doing it. I said her name and I was like, you're doing it. Now you could see on her face, she was like, yeah, don't distract me.
Yeah.
She's like, I am. And then I almost was like, oh no, I shouldn't have said anything. And the dancers were already across the floor and they're like, you're doing it. They know it's been this thing, right? But it wasn't frustrating yet. And we all, they clapped, they cheered. And it was like, I was like, you did it. And her face turned a little red. She was like, I did. You could tell she knew.
Yeah.
Well, just last week. So I told grandma picks her up and I was like, I have to tell you, big deal. And she's like, oh, I'm like, no, she got her dancer skips because I call them dancer skips to hit that passe. Just last week, same girl. I was like, stop it right now. Backwards. Like it is flowing. That's what I'm talking about. Those moments of joy when I'm seeing the neurons firing, the excitement in their brain, their body mechanics are working. Those fine motor skills are happening. Yes, she needed a few months of growth, literally in height and
Yeah.
in everything. I was so excited for her. I was like, go to the desk, go get a prize. I don't even care right now. You get something. I told the owner, I was like, so and so is coming up. She was like, I love it. Sharing in the joys and the praises. And not one kid was like, I want a prize. They knew because they were also celebrating her success. They're like,
Yeah.
good job, so and so. And she was so happy. I was like, those little things, I
They're
can't
actually the
like,
big things. Yeah.
they're the big things. And I know that she's going to be more successful in doing hopscotch at school, doing jump rope, running, walking up and down stairs. Like she just
Whatever she
also,
wants to do, right?
my gosh, because she can skip forward and backwards. I mean, I don't care if she doesn't remember my name in 2 weeks, but the fact that she got it down,
She will. She
that's a
will.
success. It's a success. And it was joy for me because I was a part of her journey to get to that step, a part of her dance journey. And I always say it to my students over the years. I have students who are now in master's school doing physical therapy. I have two that are nurses. I have one that is, she's an admin in her school district. Another one that, gosh, I think she just had her fourth baby and she's also deciding to go back to school. Like there's a lot of what they're doing. I don't need the accolades them to remember my life, or my name, but in my life, I just am so happy to be a part of their journey. I always say your dance journey because it's a part of the overall journey. But I
Yes.
also know, like, as a mother, I remember the day my own daughter got her skips at age 5.
Yeah.
It was in our living room and I was recording and I was like, you got your skips. And she was like, Mom, I got my skips. And it was a private moment versus in front of like teacher mommy. So I don't know. It's just super successful in those moments. They may not remember they got their skips, but I sure as heck do.
You'll never forget them, right?
Yeah.
And what would you say is like the impact that you're looking to make in the world right now? And what is something that you think the world needs more of nowadays in this crazy world that we live in?
Man, yeah, we need another 2 hours, right? We can just dissect everything. I would say from a instructor slash mentor slash teacher person that has influence on children, right? We have child-centered activities and then also into the parents because the parents will also either take your lead or also be your worst nightmare. So I have had over the years many parents say, thank you, right? For those little moments. Like I said earlier, life skills. You know, they can leave my classroom, and I've seen this time and time again, and I will squash it right away because I'm a little more outspoken. Whereas one teacher might be like, that's not my realm. It is. It is. They're still your student as they're grabbing their bag and leaving to meet mom. Like, I'm sorry, they still are. My hope is to also give them those life skills to understand that they could take that into consideration of relationship with their parents, with their teachers, with their family, with their friends. So if a dancer comes and they're not prepared, I'm like, okay, this is the third time. Like, do you go to school without your backpack? They're like, no. I'm like, then you don't come to dance school without your dance bag, you know? And I've had some even talk back to me and go, well, sometimes I do. And I just borrow a pen from somebody and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, right there, that's called an excuse. That doesn't work for me. Like we may get too deep, but I'm like, nope, you're just giving me an excuse. Now you're going to excuse everything. And those teenagers. I think that for me, making sure that there's been a positive yet constructive and dare I say direct person in their life that has said, hey, don't forget your stuff again. We need to have a conversation. Hey, was that as high as you can get it? Yeah, sure. Okay. I need you to straighten your knee. I'm seeing the details that maybe they're kind of not, they're kind of being able to get away with somebody
Yes.
else because I can see it in the technique. I can see in the details a little bit quicker and I'll call you out, right? Oh, I'm just going to finish my shinny turns. I'm like, I'm sorry, go back halfway. And they're like, what? I'm like, you just gave up halfway. Your arms were flailing. No, ma'am. No, let's try that again. Or I'll say, no, sir. Can you fix that?
Yeah.
I would rather help them. And I think me being able to be that person, as annoying as it could be for some of them,
Mhm.
they literally are so excited when they get it and it works out better because I see them stronger and I'll praise them the moment it's better. I'm like, see, that did not feel good. I did it. Like, yeah, I went straight, you know, or whatever it is. I hope to be that person that is the direct person in their life that will not sugarcoat it, but say it with love so that they know they can handle. Oof. that there might be somebody worse than me that's going to come across them, whether it's in a grocery store, at college, or go, okay, I can like listen, work on those listening skills, have that direction. I'm a stricter teacher, but I'm also very clear. I'll say this. I'm like, I was very clear with my words. And they're like, there's always one answer. Yeah, you were. And I'm like, just
Yeah.
let them figure it out, because it's working on being ready. It also comes from a time where we just had to be ready. We knew our expectations. And right now, in this world, we are end of March 2025 right now. The expectations for kids are so high and so great. And for some, it's such a weight. And for some, they feel like they have to be perfect, or they have to do all the things. They have to have 5 activities because everybody else has 5, they have to succeed. They have to get the A because the B is not good enough. And right now, kids are barely getting a B, or they have that peer pressure at school, my son included. We're learning that as much as I want to be the mama bear, I have to let him figure it out. And that's the same for my students. Like, figure it out. You have 2 weeks to get it together. I told the dancer 2 weeks ago, you keep coming with 2 jazz shoes that are 2 different sizes. That tells me you're mixing up old and new. Get it together, find your shoes, or buy a new pair. You have 2 weeks to figure it out. She's 9. And she was like, okay. And then the next week, she's like, okay, I looked. My mom and I are figuring out, okay, great. The plan is there. And guess what? Just 2 nights ago, she's like, all right, guess what? She was so excited of a follow-up because I gave her the expectation. I didn't say, or else. She was like, all right, we bought a new pair just because we couldn't figure out where the other one was. They're coming, they're ordered, they're going to be here by Friday. And I went, awesome. Thank you so much. So next week, it's the expectations. I think there's so much nowadays with everything going in our crazy climate of a world. We can't hardly have expectations because it is flipping upside down every day.
Hmm.
So as I like to tell my studio clients right now, simplify, simplify. How can we simplify things for ourselves to still be those joyful people for ourselves and our families, let alone our spouses, who bless them, bless spouses who are married to people like me. Oh, and and we're so creative and diligent, but also being the joy fillers, because these children have so many joy suckers in their lives.
Yes.
And sometimes I have to. Sometimes I have to be that person that's like, what did I say? I'm not sucking it, but they're like, I'm bringing it right to reality. But we always end on a positive, or I'll pull that student aside and go, there's something else going on. I need you to go wash your face, figure it out. Like, just as I step into this space, I leave my family, I leave my children, I leave what I'm doing. I'm here for you. I need you to be here for me. And we're here for each other. And I'd rather be that person that's putting that out in the world. I just
I
would.
love that you're that person.
And it's exhausting.
I know, but someone's got to do it, right?
Someone's got to do it. This week, I went to breakfast with my husband this morning real quick, and I said, it's been a very people-y week. And he is like, yeah. My husband's in law enforcement, and he has he's like, oh, people today. And I get it. And I was like, this week has been a lot of peopling. It's been a lot of, and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I just flew back in on Monday. I was in Dallas
Hmm.
judging all weekend, and then this. And I was like, but it doesn't dim my spirit. It doesn't dim my light. If anything, it makes me all right. Let's grab that cup of coffee. Let's go.
Love it. And what advice would you give to someone who maybe is listening to all of this and they're a little bit curious to start dancing? Maybe they never had the opportunity to dance as a kid. And what would you say to them to just kind of take the leap?
Well, and that is a really good question, because I find it more not happening more often, but people are speaking up about it more. Even where I'm at in northern Utah, I'm just north of Salt Lake. People are like, where's an adult dance studio, or where's adult classes? And there's like Millennium down in Salt Lake and some of those. But, just start with what's nearby that you want to invest your time and money in. So, for example, not everybody has their ducks in a row with curriculum and things like that. And I understand, but if you want to take that 6-week adult ballet course at Sally Twinkletoes Studio down the street, then take the 6 weeks and get your body moving and get those muscles firing and get those joints to just start like lubricating and sometimes just moving. Like, how often do we hear move your body? It's good for your brain. Move your body is good for your brain. It's true. It doesn't mean you have to all of a sudden jump into a Zumba class, because I'm sorry, that's a lot of coordination happening. And now you're yelling at me and I'm like, what cha-cha was what? I don't even know what you're talking about. Sometimes a bar fitness class can get you just started and get your heart rate up, and you're like, ooh, this is cardio, but I'm like really pushing with these these pulses and these plies. And sometimes it's just enough to get your joy of music and dance, but also you're not having to go ton do what? Because it's a lot. It's a
It
lot.
is a lot. Yeah.
And sometimes even your local gym just has those classes. You're like, okay, 1 day a week, start small, start easy. Your limbs will tell you if it's too much, but up your protein. I know that's like such a trigger thing, but like literally, we grew up. I don't know, did you grow up hearing like at the end of the night, eat a banana, have a chocolate milk, like have the basics and it'll help you? Like potassium's so good for recovering of muscles.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were always told, you know what, have that chocolate milk because calcium's good for you and eat a banana. And it like it's true. Now we're like packed of protein bars and all those things and powders,
Mhm.
but fuel yourself, have that extra chicken. And as an adult or somebody older, you hear of dancers that like start at 13. They're already feeling awkward. They're already feeling gangly and they're being so brave by jumping into that class. That's why it's super important to have those classes at a studio that cater to the beginner dancer over age 12 because kids don't know what they want yet, but they're also willing to be brave and move their bodies. And also, that dancer at 17 who's about to graduate, she never had the opportunity, but maybe she has that part time job now that she can afford to help wash your mirrors, but also take that adult jazz class. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like there's an opportunity. So, A, ask for the opportunities, B, be brave and ask. Again, ask, be brave. But C, start small and fuel yourself because you may think you want to take that adult hip hop class, but once you're in there, your body was like, no, I think the jazz class might be more my speed.
Yeah. Be flexible along the way, right?
Yes, yes. And it's okay and I say as adults, we feel like, oh, I don't want to drive there. We have the ability to also drive the extra 10 minutes for that class. Whereas a child who's like 15 that just wants to start something is at the mercy of mom, dad, grandma being able to get there. So having that ability, I think if anything of a positive that came out of a pandemic time was how much community we have online. There are still quite a few instructors that are doing online classes as well. And I don't mean just pull up YouTube, right? Like there's very good qualified certified instructors that are
Yes.
doing a really great thing. So if you can't get in, then start small, start there and then see where you can go from there. Take those steps, give yourself a little grace. Even me now, like I have to be careful with Pilates. Like,
Yeah.
ooh, my back wasn't the same today as it was yesterday. And here I am teaching and I'm still careful. That's what I'll tell my students, for example, I'm going to show you once, I'm going to show you twice. Let's move on because I'm also trying to be careful with my body.
Yeah.
So they can do it, just baby
Yes,
steps.
they can. Yes, they can.
Yes, bananas and chocolate milk and a protein bar.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Oh, and
remember
water, and
that.
water.
Water, yes.
It's so good.
Hydration, super important. Well, thank you for
Yes.
sharing everything that you do. I love hearing about your story and, what you're bringing to the world through dance. And how can you share now with people how they can get in touch with you? So through your website or social
Well,
media?
yeah, it's been really a great journey, this whole dance career that I've had. And I've been really excited to help dance studio owners with a lot of their remote work too. A lot of studio owners need support. So I am one of the Elevate leaders with Julie K. Stalkup. So I do a lot of that stuff that she needs with support for dance teachers across the country, even to Canada and Australia now with Team Julie K. But to get in touch with me, for more information or just like because you're curious, this lady is crazy. I want to see what her life is. My website just acts as a good place to find information and also get in touch. But see, like, that's fun. Maybe I have a friend that can use some help for support. So my website is melanie5678.com. And then my Instagram is Ms. Melanie. So it's MS_Melanie5678. And it's linked to my Facebook as well. But yeah, makes it fun. You'll see pictures of my children, my travels, and also at the same time, like, wow, there's another coffee. And yes. And I
Yeah.
always accept Starbucks.
Love it. So all of that information will be in the show notes. So it's really easy for you to click and just reach out to Melanie. Melanie, thank you so much for coming on the show. Again, I love what you're doing, and hopefully you'll come back for part two because I feel like we have more that we can talk about.
feel like too. Yeah, I love these opportunities too. And thank you so much for having me. And the dance world is big, yet it's so small. And so I'm so glad we connected.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for tuning into the show. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe and make sure you leave a review because that's the best way for other people to find our show and get more inspired. And so we can just share the dance love across the globe. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Dance Yourself Brave show. If today's episode got you hyped, inspired, or just made you want to bust a move, do me a favor. Subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear today's message. Sharing is caring after all. And hey, don't forget, your courage is already in you. Sometimes you just gotta dance it out to feel it. Catch you next time. Keep shining and keep dancing yourself brave.